Hello, everyone. A very warm welcome to today's special webinar. Today's webinar is very special because we have special guests with us for this session. But before we dive into the session, as I see a lot of them are still joining the session, I would quickly like to speak a little bit about Galvanize Global Education, who we are and what exactly we do. Galvanize Global Education, as you see, is an end-to-end personalized solution for all the students and aspirants who are looking for higher education abroad, wherein we help students right from their basic test preparations for GRE, SAT, TOEFL, IELTS, and then we gradually move towards the admission counseling part, wherein we help students with their admission counseling for services such as, documentation, SOPs, LOR, visa, and many more such activities for bachelor's, master's, and doctorate degree out there. And yes, of course, Galvanize is at your back for your last minute assistance for various other activities like helping you, get in touch with the right loan provider if you're looking for financing, courier services, and many more such activities. And you won't be surprised, but this whole, journey is actually, it was actually begun and, it's actually managed by people from top universities like Stanford, Harvard, IIT Madras, and IIM Ahmedabad. Here, I would like to say that, students across the globe have chosen Galvanize for their higher education plans, may it be test preparation or, admission counseling services out there. And not only that, we have placed our students across 1,000+ universities across 18+ countries out there. Well, this is a very famous thread on Quora. I won't speak much, but I would request you to take a look at the links that I would be sharing in the chat box shortly. What is this all about? I'm pretty sure a lot of you are quite active on Quora and, you've been searching, looking for various questions that's running in your mind. And I'm pretty sure a lot of you are looking at some, sources with respect to who would be the right person to guide you for the test preparations or, your admission counseling. And this is where I would request you to take a look where students have spoken about their journey, their experience, how it has been, either prepping or, taking admission counseling with Galvanize. And not to forget, we have our amazing mobile applications, which is quite handy, easy to use, gamified as well. So we do have our mobile applications available on Play Store for at Android and iPhone, mobiles that are there. So I will share these application links as well shortly in case you have not been using. You're missing something really amazing out there. So do check out our applications out there and start with your journey with a, fun and an easy way of learning out there. Well, this is the time for the first poll where we would like to understand a couple of things about today's audience out there. And the poll goes, how familiar are you with the application process for universities abroad? Great. It's juggling between all the three options. That's really amazing. Okay. So you are somewhat familiar. Okay. Which can be a little bit dangerous, I would say. Okay. Not familiar. Very familiar. Great. So I think we have the results out there and we can end the poll now. And a lot of you are somewhat familiar and we would be really glad to help you out there to, help you with more details out there. Here, this is something special for today's attendees that we have, and we would like to say that today's attendees will be eligible for 30% off on the Galvanize admission counseling services. Now, how do you avail that? Basically, there is something that we will be sharing at the end, and you need to fill in a form there. And once you do that, you will be eligible for the 30% off. But then it's again, valid till Sunday, that is 23rd of July out there. Well, let it be a little bit secret, and I will share this by end of the session as to how you can avail this offer at Galvanize Admission Counseling Services out there. So stay tuned till the end of the session. And yes, of course, you can post your questions out there because your host for today's webinar is also special, and she would be addressing by end of the session out there. So a little bit about your host for today's webinar. We have with us Colleen. Colleen is the Director of International Graduate Student Recruitment and Admission for Clarkson University, and she's worked in the field of international education for more than 15 years. Yes, 15 years, and it's more. So it's a big tenure that she's been with students out there, and she's lived across in countries like Asia, Africa, Europe, and as well in her native USA. So Colleen is very familiar with the education system around the world, including India, and that's why she enjoys meeting students out there and their families during her trips overseas to recruit students for Clarkson program in engineering, science, business, and education. And I'm pretty sure this session is going to be quite informative for all of you out there. So without any further delay, I would request Colleen to start with the session.
I hope everyone can hear me. I just unmuted myself. Which
Yes,
is always
Colleen.
Oh, good.
Yes.
That's always a dangerous moment in any presentation when you go ahead and unmute yourself. I can see that we have a lot of people here today, which is super exciting for me. I know that I'm all the way here in the United States this morning. Well, for me, it's morning. So you'll see that I have my handy cup of tea to take a sip whenever my throat gets dry from talking too much. I'm going to go ahead and share my slides so that we can engage in a conversation about graduate education at Clarkson University and how to go about starting with your application. Let's make sure I can start my slideshow here. Hold on. Okay. All right. I hope everyone can see my slides. We're going to talk about programs at Clarkson and also admission. That will include a discussion about scholarships. So if you have questions about that, you can put them in the chat. We will make sure to answer all of your questions by the end of the session. You already heard a little bit about me. So I'll leave the picture up there so you have a sense of who it is you're talking to. And I'll leave my camera on as well so that you know that I'm a real person, right? Everyone's so concerned about AI these days, so it's not a deep fake, it's really me. Before we actually dive into the nuts and bolts about Clarkson and getting admitted to Clarkson, I thought we could talk for a moment about the larger question, which is why come to the United States to study? And I came up with 4 main reasons. There are clearly more than these, but among the reasons that I wanted to share with you, first and foremost is the high quality of education and research opportunities that are available in the United States. You'll have access to distinguished professors in research who are at the cutting edge of things. The US education system is well known for encouraging critical thinking skills, and so you would benefit from all of that high quality aspect of education in the United States. Second, you'll have expanded career opportunities because of the reputation of US education. It will enhance your own employability, not just in the United States, but abroad as well, whether that's in your home country or you're able to expand your career into a third country with a multinational company or something like that. But the US education is so well regarded around the world that continues to be a benefit long beyond your studies at an institution like Clarkson. The third reason that I thought of was cultural exposure. Students experience diverse cultures from within the United States and around the world. And with that are ideas and perspectives that open up a global mindset among our students. You develop cross-cultural communication skills. You learn the American style of English. And if you're not already an English speaker, you improve your skills in the global language of English. And if you are an English speaker, you're able to switch between your local version of English. The Indian English is a little different, let's say, than American English, but then you get those skills to move smoothly between different contexts. And finally, is the post-study work opportunities that studying in the United States affords you. I'm sure everyone's familiar with OPT, optional practical training. For many people, that leads to an H-1B or work visa, and that allows you to stay and work in most fields in the STEM areas for up to 3 years, and that really sets a great foundation for your career moving forward. So that's sort of the 30,000-foot view of education in the United States. And now I'll dig down specifically into Clarkson University and why you might want to study here with us. First, let's look at where Clarkson is located. People hear New York and they think of New York City, but Clarkson University is located in Potsdam, New York, which is on the top part of the map of New York State. New York State is there in gold or orange, depending on your monitor. But Potsdam is up near the Canadian border. So it's about a 6 or 7 hour drive from New York City up to Potsdam. It is a rather quiet place north of the Adirondack Mountains. It's an ideal place to study because there are not a huge number of distractions like there would be in a big city, and the cost of living is much lower. It's also a very safe place in terms of crime. There's not a lot of crime in Potsdam, New York. I'm personally based at the Schenectady Capital Region campus, and there are a few programs that are based here, but most of them are going to be on the main campus in Potsdam. And having gotten this far, you might wonder, okay, why Clarkson in specific? Now that I've decided to study in the US, why would I study at Clarkson? And these are some of the accolades that we have received. We're a top-tier national university on the US News and World Report list. That's a national list. We're among the top 3% best universities for salary potential, which is a great testament to the return on investment of a Clarkson education. And we're on many of those kinds of best this or best that kind of list. One that I like to point out is that we're on a best career services list. And this is super important, not just for undergraduates, but for the postgraduate students as well. Many students have the stereotype that career services is there for the undergraduate students coming out with a bachelor's degree. But at Clarkson, that's really not true. We have one staff member who's entirely devoted to supporting the master's and PhD students. And the other staff also support students, but one person has that as 100% of his job. And I think that that's really important when you're considering a master's degree at Clarkson University, because you want to be sure that you'll benefit from our great connections with employers. We have a wonderful reputation for our students being excellent employees because of the kind of education that we offer at Clarkson. It is not only the mastery of knowledge, but also the ability to work in teams that our students learn when they're here on our campuses. So let's dive into the graduate programs and the admission process for Clarkson. These are the things we're going to talk about: the types of degrees and requirements, the application process, funding your studies, a little bit about the visa process that happens after the admission, and we can talk about your application timeline. So first of all, at Clarkson, we have master's degrees that can be either research or thesis-based or project-based. So most students who are applying internationally are interested in project-based masters, where you don't have to do a research thesis, but you do a capstone project. However, if you are interested in research programs, we have many of those as well. For anyone who's interested in a PhD, of course, those are all research-oriented with a dissertation requirement. This is a sampling of the programs that we offer on our main campus in Potsdam. I don't think I included all of them, but it's important to note anything with an asterisk next to it is a STEM OPT eligible program. And one that we have just recently, like within the last couple of weeks, added is a business analytics MBA. So for any students interested in business programs who still want to benefit from a STEM OPT opportunity, I would recommend that you look carefully at the Business Analytics MBA. And the best semester to start that program is in the fall, based on the structure of the program. But most programs you can start in the spring or the fall. So right now, of course, it's too late for fall 2023, but we are accepting applications for spring 2024 and beyond. You can see that we're very strong in engineering. That was the original focus of our university. We also have a lot of science. You can see the different science disciplines there, like bioscience and biotech, chemistry, physics, mathematics, those kinds of programs. Among our most popular with international students are the computer science and the applied data science. But we are very interested to have students enroll in other programs as well. Pardon me, let me just go back a second. We do have programs, as I said, on the Capital Region campus. Those two are the Master of Arts in Teaching for people who want to become certified teachers. And those do allow you to stay and work in schools in the United States. We also have a program in healthcare MBA and one in healthcare data analytics. And those are both based in Schenectady at the Capital Region campus. So now that we have an idea of whether we have the program that you're interested in, let me tell you a little bit about the application requirements. These are very similar to what you'll see at other universities within the United States. So I won't spend a tremendous amount of time on this, but we have an online application form, just as everybody else does. You fill out the application and that creates a portal in our system. So from there, you can upload your statement of purpose and your resume or CV, as well as your transcripts. We allow students to upload unofficial transcripts in the admission portal. We only need secondary education. Pardon me. So please don't include your 10th or 12th grade board scores, just your transcripts. Make sure that you include the semester-wise transcript, not only the consolidated transcript. Our faculty will look at backlogs. So the most successful applicants are those with a GPA of 3.0 or higher on a 4-point scale, and no more than 7 backlogs. If you have more backlogs than that, you might need to explain that in your statement of purpose. We require 3 letters of recommendation. Those should come directly from your recommenders and not be uploaded by you. You can include your recommenders' contact information, including email address, and they will automatically receive an invitation from our system, inviting them to complete a short form and upload the PDF of their letter. In terms of test scores, we do require English proficiency testing, and some programs require additional testing like a GRE or GMAT. But many programs are currently waiving the GRE or GMAT. Our website has the latest information. Those requirements do change sometimes in the middle of our admission cycle, so I recommend that everyone check the page, the program page of the program that you're interested in. We don't have a minimum GRE requirement for the programs that ask for the GRE, but just for context, our average GRE scores are 148 verbal and 159 quantitative. The quantitative score is by far the one that is more interesting to our faculty, given that most of our programs are in science, engineering, mathematics, and those types of fields. So they are very interested in those. Application process is to complete the application form, which, as I said, creates your portal. Upload all the required documents. I recommend that you follow up with your recommenders just to make sure that they have received the invitation from Clarkson, because sometimes it goes into a spam folder, or the faculty member doesn't realize that it's something important. So you want to be sure that your recommenders have received the invitation to provide the recommendation. Then once you've submitted the application and all the materials, once it's complete, it goes to the faculty in the department that you've applied to for their decision making. And decisions typically take 2 to 4 weeks. I know after all of the work of putting an application file together, you're probably hoping you can get the decision much faster than that. But most departments are take the admission work very seriously, and they want to reflect on the application and make sure that the faculty have a chance to read it. In terms of test scores on English proficiency, these are our minimum scores: 80 TOEFL, 6.5 IELTS, 56 PTE, or 115 on the Duolingo English test. If time or cost is a restriction or concern for you, I do recommend the Duolingo English test because it's available online. You don't need an appointment, and the cost is significantly lower than the other options. GRE, as I said, there's no minimum, but the average scores are 148 verbal, 159 quantitative. If you are hoping for any type of assistantship, the GRE expectations will be a little higher. And for GMAT, there's no minimum. Currently, the School of Business is waiving the GMAT, but with the scores, you're more likely to receive a more robust scholarship offer. Okay. Deadlines. This is a frequent question that we get. There are no formal deadlines for most programs at Clarkson. The exceptions are the 3 health science programs that we offer: physician assisted, physical therapy, and occupational therapy. Those use a different application process. And if you're interested in one of those, I request that you reach out to me separately because it's hard to explain all of that in a general session like this. But it's not hard if I know which program you're interested in. I'll be able to assist you. We follow rolling admission, which means that as soon as your application is complete, it's forwarded for review by the faculty, and it goes into our review system and cycle. For maximum admission and funding consideration, I recommend that you apply by February 15th if you're applying for next fall, or if you're applying for the spring, please get everything in by October 15th at the latest. If you're applying for spring and you have everything now, apply now, because you'll want to be sure that you have time at the back end after admission to take care of all of your visa formalities, okay? We stop issuing I-20s for spring in mid-November, and even that is cutting it a little close. All right. So other than deadlines, one of our most frequently asked questions is about funding. And I'll start by saying that most fully funded offers, meaning a tuition award and a stipend, most of those go to PhD students, and those are only offered in research departments. So for data science or MBA, there are no fully funded offers. But in, let's say, mechanical engineering, electrical, civil, environmental engineering, bioscience, chemistry, physics, those type of programs, there are fully funded teaching and research assistantships. In that case, the decision is going to be based mainly on the match between what you have accomplished already and what the department's needs are. So if you are someone who's done research as part of your undergraduate study, or you've had like a summer research program where you have publications, you definitely want to make sure that that gets on your CV or resume so that the faculty know about it. And that way, if you are a good fit for an assistantship, you will be considered for that. But all students are considered for scholarships, which is the main form of support that we provide to master's students at Clarkson. There are some part-time assistantships and there are on-campus jobs. The assistantships might come as part of the admission offer, but part-time jobs are something that you can only find once you arrive on campus. We don't offer the part-time jobs as part of a financial aid award, and we cannot guarantee that you'll get a part-time job. But most students who are serious about finding one do find a part-time job. Like any U.S. College or university, international students can work up to 20 hours per week. during the academic year. That's part of the student visa regulation. In New York State, the minimum wage is just above $14 an hour, which is much higher than in a lot of other states. Education loans are a popular source of funding as well. Students combine the education loan with their personal funds and funds from any sponsors. And as I said, at the master's level, scholarships from Clarkson are the main form of financial assistance that we provide. After admission, students make an enrollment deposit to confirm their intention to come to Clarkson, and that's when our International Center will issue the I-20 based on the financial documentation. And then you can go ahead and make your student visa interview appointment from there. And we issue all I-20s electronically. What happens is after you make your deposit, Clarkson sets up a Clarkson email account for you, and we put the I-20 in that Clarkson email account, and that ensures the security of the documentation. So I've been talking pretty much nonstop for quite a while, and I think it is time to take your questions, if you have any. And I can see there's some stuff in the chat.
Yes. Yes, of course. So I think students are still asking the questions. So till the time they just, feed in their questions out there, and we have a couple of them. Also, we would like to give a short break to you as well, wherein, we would quickly like to run a short poll here and to understand a little bit about students out there. So
that's great.
The poll goes here, and how would you like to prepare for the standardized tests that are there when you want to get into top universities like Clarkson out there? So, yes. Okay, great. Okay, a lot of you are looking at self-prep. A lot of you are also looking at online course with a personalized plan. That's really amazing. So by this, we come to the end of the poll that we had run right now. And we have another poll for students out there, wherein we would like to understand whom would you like to seek assistance for your admission process? Because the earlier poll I saw that a lot of you were a little bit not clear about the admission process out there. So here again, we would like to understand from whom would you like to take guidance. Okay, that's really amazing to see study abroad consultants coming at on a higher rate. That's great. Okay, I think that's the best choice, I would say right now, because a lot of you are a little bit dicey as to how the process goes. So great, but this
can I
yes.
just add, at Clarkson we have graduate student ambassadors, and you can reach them through our website and post a question to them. It's not exactly a live chat, because if they're on their phone, they can answer right away. But otherwise, because so many people, the second most popular option there was seniors from the college, meaning people who are ahead of you a year or two in that study overseas journey. Please do reach out to our ambassadors. Right now, we're starting to get new ambassadors because a bunch of them graduated in May, which is great news. They're out with their careers. But please reach out to our student ambassadors so that you can have a student-to-student conversation. We have tons of confidence in what we have to offer and in the students' ability to share their experiences and their advice. So that's one way if you're interested to talk to someone who's ahead of you by a year or two, but you don't know where to start or who to talk to, please do reach out to the ambassadors.
Thank you, Colleen, for letting us know that, because I'm pretty sure a lot of them might not be much aware of this process out there. So yeah, thank you. And a quick I would say a quick note on how exactly Galvanize has been helping students out there till we get a few more questions out there. So as you saw that there are free mobile applications out there, but in case you are looking at some guidance a little bit more, wherein you have a personalized plan, helping you understand with the complete process and helping you getting your score out there, please take a look at the courses that are available at Galvanize Global Education, along with the admission counseling services. And some of of the perks and advantages that you would see when you enroll with Galvanize is number one, completely personalized study plan based on your preparation, your target score, and your current, ability to score the exam much better. Yes, of course, you will have an unlimited Ask an Expert for all your content-related doubts, being an online portal where you can ask all your questions, and the expert would be there to answer. Moving forward, a little bit of in-depth analysis of, the test that you would be giving, with a lot of practice questions that you will be coming across for your test preparations. And yes, of course, updated test pattern at most affordable rate, with the easy way of learning out there. This is something where I would like to talk a little bit about the admission counseling services, because I saw a lot of you are looking at study abroad consultants as well for your, admission counseling. Well, when a student enrolls with Galvanize for their admission counseling, the first thing that we do is we quickly have a conversation with them to understand their profile, to understand what are their requirements, based on which the shortlisting, the documentation process happens, where we help students building their resume, SOP, LOR, guiding you for the visa process, like what are the documents required, how you're supposed to speak during the visa process, helping you with some sample videos out there, and not to forget financing and pre-departure activities. As you see, profile evaluation is something part of the course that we have. But today, for today's attendees, especially, we are providing a profile evaluation free on course, wherein you can also, register with us, fill in the form for profile evaluation, post which, when you enroll with Galvanize, you will be eligible for a 30% off on the admission counseling services, provided you enroll with us before this Sunday. And this is the link which I'll be sharing in the chat box as well. And I would like to freeze the screen here as well, so that you can make a note of the link as well, which is gxprep.com profile. And and now I would say, if Colleen would like to pick up any questions out there, and we can answer them.
Does someone want to tell me the questions that have been popping up in the chat? I was busy talking, so
no issues. I'll do that for you. So we have one question, wherein hello, ma'am. Do you offer masters in public health?
No, I'm sorry, we don't have public health.
Okay. There is another question where the student is asking, is there any age restriction for applications?
Age restriction?
Yes.
I'm not sure if the person means on the lower end or the upper end, but in fact, there is no age restriction. The main requirement for any postgraduate study is that the student has completed a bachelor's degree. At Clarkson, we do recognize most 3-year bachelor's degrees. Of course, we prefer the 4-year bachelor's degree, but obviously many BScs in science fields are 3 years. So we accept the 3-year bachelor's degree as well. There's no upper age limit for graduate study.
We have another question from a student. What is the minimum IELTS score required to get into computer science?
The IELTS score minimum is the same for any program at Clarkson, and it is 6.5. We do not have sub-score minimums, but the main thing is the overall score. But we do hope that most of the scores, the sub-scores, are in the same range. So if someone has a 7 in reading and a 5.5 in speaking, then that might be a little bit of a concern. But the main thing is the 6.5 overall score.
The next question is, can I apply for an undergraduate program with my degree certificate in Clarkson University?
Of course. I mean, today's session was focused on graduate study, but we offer admission in all of our undergraduate programs to international students who have completed 12 years of education. So if you are coming from the Indian education system, we would look for your 10th grade and your 12th grade board scores. Unless you did something like Cambridge A-levels or IB, in which case you just need to provide the transcripts. The requirements are similar, a little different for the undergraduate side, but you need the application, your transcript, a letter of recommendation. Again, you need the English scores, and the score requirements are the same. SAT is optional for us. We do like to see a resume and an essay as well. So very similar requirements for undergraduate study.
The next question is, how do I apply for the financial assistantship?
So there's no separate application for financial support from Clarkson at the postgraduate level. The faculty will read the application. We assume that everyone would like an assistantship, or that if there's no assistantship available, that the student would like a scholarship. So the faculty make those decisions right at the time of admission. There's no separate form.
The question from Chetan is, I have done BTech CSE 2011 and MBA in 2017. Now I'm interested in PhD fully funded in computer science. Is IELTS required?
Yes, of course it is. Yeah. The only time that we would waive the IELTS or English proficiency requirement is if you received your master's degree in a country like the US, UK, Australia, Ireland, something like that. Otherwise, everyone has to provide English proficiency testing.
Another question is minimum GRE requirement for PhD in physics.
So again, there's no minimum GRE requirement in physics or in any other department, but they will expect a score near the average score of 148 verbal, 159 quantitative, and honestly, they're looking for much higher on the quantitative. So to be competitive, I would say you need probably 162, 163 on the quantitative section of the GRE.
What are the requirements for scholarship?
We do a holistic review, so the faculty will look at everything, but the undergraduate GPA or CGPA is very important. They will look at whether there are backlogs on the transcript. They will read the letters of recommendation carefully and look at the resume, and overall they will come up with a scholarship amount based on the quality of the application materials.
Next question is from Farhan. I am in my last year of graduation. Can I apply before my degree completion for BBA?
So if you are an undergraduate student in your final year of study and you want to apply for graduate study at Clarkson, wait until after you have your 7th semester of grades. So that way your transcript will include 7 of the 8 semesters, and you'll be able to get a decision. Then if you're admitted, obviously after you finally graduate, you will need to provide us a final transcript as well, showing that you completed the bachelor's degree. But you can apply once you've completed 7 semesters of study.
Does Clarkson has a master's in management?
We have a master's in business administration, the MBA. We have a general MBA. We have a healthcare MBA, and we have a business analytics MBA. Of all of those, the business analytics is STEM OPT eligible. So you would be eligible for 3 years of work authorization in the US after completing the business analytics MBA.
Is thesis compulsory to apply for PhD in physics?
If you're doing a PhD in physics, you will have to do original research and write a dissertation.
Another question is, I'm Jai Prakash from India, 43-year-old. I have 17 years of work experience, a TOEFL score of 86 and GRE of 327. I would like to pursue my master's in education. So what are the chances of getting it?
What was the GRE score?
327.
327. That's not a super high GRE score, but I don't think we require that. For the Master of Arts in Teaching, the work experience will be helpful. What was the discipline again? What did the person study as an undergraduate?
He's got 17 years of work experience.
Yeah, but I need to know what he studied as an undergraduate student.
Yeah, he hasn't mentioned it. So I think if he comes up, I will.
The Master of Arts in Teaching prepares you to teach at the secondary level, meaning grades 7 through 12. Most of our students are, what am I trying to say? I would say yes, go ahead and apply. We will be happy to counsel you and provide assistance with that application for the Master of Arts in Teaching. I'm not sure if the person is talking about teaching experience or some other kind of experience and now making a career transition to teaching. But in either instance, we would be happy for the application.
Yes, he's asking if there are also any application fee waivers for applying at Clarkson.
We will waive all application fees right now. In this post-pandemic time, there's too many things that can stress us out. So we want to minimize the stress by offering an application fee waiver.
And the question is, do you offer transitional course for international students?
I don't know what you mean by transitional course.
Exactly. I think if you could explain a little bit more in detail.
But I think probably the answer is no. Most students arrive on campus, there's an orientation, and then classes begin a week or so after that. We don't have an English institute, for example. Yeah.
Okay, so I think the questions that were put up till now, we have been answered almost all of them. We will give them a couple of minutes more so that they could type in their questions out there and we can answer them as well. And meanwhile, I would quickly like to also remind students that as I see a lot of them have been asking questions related to their profile. And in case, you have more questions, you can just fill in the profile evaluation form so that we can help you to overcome any shortcomings that you have to get into top university like Clarkson out there. And then you can easily get into the university by talking to experts out there. So don't miss out this opportunity. Just fill in the profile evaluation form that is given in the chat box. By this, we will come to know your profile in detail, and then we can guide you if there are any things that you can do to make your profile more strong and get into Clarkson University out there. And yes, of course, to know more about how you can avail these scholarships as well. So only a profile evaluation call can help us understand how best we can help you. So, yeah. And also the link is shared in the chat box. So we have
I saw there was one question about PhD without master's, and some of the departments will review applicants who don't have a master's, but most do want to see a master's in order for admission to PhD.
There's one more question with respect to a student asking how important are internships for teaching, research, or publications out there?
So for research-based programs, if you're going to do a thesis, internships are not especially important unless they involve doing research. Keep in mind that the job of a PhD student is to conduct research, really, in the end. And for master's students who are going to do a thesis, again, the main thing faculty want to know is that the student can complete the research project. Because if you can't complete the research project, you don't earn the degree. So anything that is in your profile that shows that you have the ability to conduct and complete research is going to enhance your profile.
So, ma'am, the student who had asked us about education at Clarkson, where he said he had 17 years of experience. So he's given his background. He says, I have bachelor's in education and master's in humanities. Can I apply for PhD in education?
We don't have a PhD in education. We have a Master of Arts in Teaching. If he's interested in PhD programs in education, I can make referrals to other schools, but I would rather do that offline.
My point is,
I'm happy to help. I don't want to be mentioning other universities during an open session like this. So
I have an undergraduate degree already, but my CGPA is 2.7. Can I apply for an undergrad education program with my already earned degree?
students can apply for a second bachelor's degree and come as transfer students. And we will accept quite a bit of the coursework from the first bachelor's degree, so that the student might only need to do 1 or 2 years at Clarkson in order to earn a bachelor's degree. So from an admission standpoint, it's not necessarily complicated, but my concern would be that the student might have difficulty getting a student visa and convincing the visa officer that there's a good reason to need a second bachelor's degree. So that's just something to think about.
So the student, ma'am, who had asked about transitional course, basically he wants to know that if we can change the course that they had done in their undergrad. For example, they did social studies as undergrad, but want to take master's study in computer or data analytic or cybersecurity program.
So I would say computer science is not a good choice because you really need a bachelor's degree in computer science to do computer science. But data science would be an excellent choice. At Clarkson, the program director in data science is open to any major that a student did at the undergraduate level. The only thing he says is that you need to be unafraid of working with spreadsheets and dealing with numbers. So you might have studied social science or, I don't know, almost anything, English literature, or he's had anthropology people, data science. There are 3 prerequisite courses, but they're free and they're online. So a student can do them before coming to Clarkson and get up to speed. That would be a good choice. Or business analytics MBA might be a good choice, but computer science would not be a good choice for someone with such a different undergraduate preparation. So we have good options. It's just that sometimes people get one program name in their mind as like, I have to have this. But if you have an open mind and can, work with us on the counseling, I think that we can find a good program to make that kind of career transition. I understand the word transition now because we're talking about a career transition. So I want to be encouraging, but not encouraging about computer science for this particular student.
Ma'am, minimum DET score for PhD in genetics, molecular biology, or cancer biology. Is there any required score?
Required which score?
DET.
Oh, Duolingo. The minimum score is 115, but for someone applying to a PhD program, they're going to expect a much higher level of English, and without, so maybe like 130. In order to offer an assistantship like teaching or research.
Also, a student would like to understand what for a full scholarship in PhD in chemical engineering, what are the prerequisites? Like, is internships considered for evaluating?
So the main thing is that there's a source of funding in the department. It's not only about the student's profile. So it depends on what they need an assistant for. So if it's for research, it's going to be specific to a particular area. Did you say chemistry or chemical engineering?
Chemical engineering.
Right. So the student is going to have to go online and look at what our faculty are doing research in and make sure to highlight those things in the CV or resume. It's going to be based on the match between the student's skill set and the department's needs. So the GPA and the IELTS score or whatever English test are very important. But also equally important is whether the student has the capability to do what the faculty need in their labs.
So now students would also like to know how can they get in touch with the Clarkson team out there?
Okay, so for the graduate students, I'm putting an email address in the chat box. Sorry, I'm just getting close to it to make sure I didn't make a typo. Okay, that is the email address to reach our team for graduate study. And then I know there are a couple of undergraduate people on the call, so I'm just adding the email address for the undergraduate, INTL at Clarkson. So I see that there's a question about which IELTS score. We need the academic IELTS score, not the general test. The general test is for like immigration, not for academic purposes. And then do we have a business PhD? No. And most of the time in business, the doctoral degree is called a DBA, Doctor of Business Administration, similar to an MBA, but at the doctoral level. But we do not offer that degree at Clarkson. Who asked that? Jaya Prakash. So if Jaya Prakash is looking for that, I would Google or use others online search to find DBA programs in the United States. And I would encourage Jaya Prakash to look for AACSB accredited programs. I'll just put that in the chat also. That's the main accreditor of quality business programs in the United States. There are a couple of different business accreditation agencies. AACSB is going to be the strongest one. Manisha is asking about applying for an MS in chemistry. Please email us at the grad INTL email account, or you can reach out to the Galvanize team and they can do kind of a preliminary overview with you about what's required for applying for an MS in chemistry. We would be grateful for your application for sure. Oh, I think I sent the grad email account to a particular student, not to everyone. If you direct message me on Zoom, it gets a little confusing about who I'm talking to.
One question, ma'am. I want to take admission in MS International Relation on scholarship. Can you please guide me for it?
We don't have an MS in International Relations, I'm sorry to say.
And I'm electronic engineer with CGPA of 3.553. I want to enroll for MS in robotics and AI. Is the program offer?
Robotics and AI are subfields within our master's in computer science. So you should apply for computer science and indicate in your SOP that you have experience and interest in robotics and AI. Our computer science program has faculty who are specifically interested in doing research in robotics and AI. So you would be a great fit for our program. Someone else wrote to me, what was that? BTech and CSE. Okay, someone asked about what is CSE? Computer science and engineering? Is that what CSE stands for? Can someone help me with that? If you want to apply directly to the PhD, I think you should just check our website to make sure that they're not requiring a master's in that discipline first. Someone else is asking about CGPA till 6th semester. How much would be good? The person who wrote to me with the 8.7 CGPA in the 6th semester, I would say just keep it up. That's an excellent CGPA. Complete that through the 7th semester and then apply for graduate study after that. The last one I got was about public health. And I'm sorry to say we don't have a master's in public health at Clarkson. I'm not able to help you with that. So I'm sorry, I have to keep getting close to the
No
chat
issues.
to
Shall I read
see.
it for you?
Yeah, the
Uh,
BS in
yes.
mathematics with a 3.3, can I get scholarship? The only way to know that whether you can get scholarship is to actually apply. And since we're not requiring an application fee, I would say please go ahead and apply. The only cost to you is your time in putting the application together. And once you hear back from us, then you'll know whether we're the best option for you. Hopefully everyone's applying to more than one university, so that you have some comparison to make after you get your admission offers. And then it's our job to persuade you to come to Clarkson.
What is the minimum duration required for masters in computer science with an internship?
Probably 3 semesters. So if you started in the spring, here's the thing, you can only do an internship after 1 year of study. So if you start in the fall, you do fall, spring, then an internship in the summer, and then come back and complete in the fall. But if you start in the spring, it takes a little longer because you have to wait until you've completed spring and fall, and then you can do an internship after that. Did that make sense? I hope it did.
Yes, we have last few minutes. So if you have any questions, you can quickly post it in the chat box. And also a small reminder on the profile evaluation, because I see a lot of profile related questions have been raised, and we would be really glad to help you out there. So if you want to reach to Clarkson as well, as Colleen rightly said, you can also get through Galvanize. And for that, I would request you to fill in the profile evaluation form so that we have your details. And based on that, we can guide you with the right steps and, have a seamless process to get into top university like Clarkson out there. And also these are our contact details where you could make a note of our details in case you would like to speak to us and have more questions or would like to know more about Galvanize. So yes, Colin, would you like to take some more questions?
The person who wrote about geology, mining, environmental science, I would say, please go ahead and apply for the master's. You're going to choose either civil engineering or environmental engineering and as your discipline. And you can apply to more than one discipline. I'm just scrolling now. The person who asked about doing an MS in civil engineering with a GPA of 3.8, I would say please apply. That's a strong GPA, and I congratulate you on doing so well so far in your studies. Social science, we don't really have a lot at the postgraduate level at Clarkson, so I can't really help with that. We're really science and technology at the postgraduate level. We talked about the minimum duration. I've said this several times about the scholarship. It's a partial scholarship for master's students. Full funding is unusual, but not impossible. It depends on the department and the discipline. And yes, we have a master's in civil engineering. So we would welcome any application. If you're reaching out to Galvanize, they can help you with the evaluation. We do not pre-screen people, but we can try and tell you, how to create the best possible application. I do not know if we have marine science in bioscience or environmental. If you email me that question, I'll dig into it a little bit for you. We are not near the ocean, so we're less likely to have marine science than universities that are right near the ocean itself. Someone's asking about about the master's in physics. If you want to do a PhD, teaching experience is not as important as research experience. So for Topendra, the question is really, do you have research experience? That's how you're going to get a GRE. I'm sorry, an assistantship. The next person was asking, no, oh, Tapendra, PhD without GRE or TOEFL. There's no way you're getting a PhD without the TOEFL. And they really would like to see the GRE because it shows you have confidence in how well you're going to do. Admission process for spring has already started. We are already reviewing applications, so please feel free to apply. If for Ryan, about the thesis for MS, if you want to do a thesis, please apply for the research-based master's, and having a publication is very helpful. Make sure to include a link on your resume or CV so that the faculty can follow up on that if they want to read your the synopsis of your research. I think I answered them all.
Yes, absolutely. I think almost all the questions that were put up by students have been answered. And that's really an amazing session that we had with a lot of students actively participating and who also wanted to know how Clarkson can help them and how they can get into Clarkson. And I would also like to take this opportunity and thank Colleen for joining us today and helping us understand about Clarkson and, you know, the whole admission process for getting into Clarkson out there. And as I said, in case you have any more questions, as we're running out of time. So in case you have any more questions, do get in touch with us through the profile evaluation form, which is shared. The link is shared in the chat box. And also don't miss out to avail this amazing opportunity of 30% off on Galvanize admission counseling services. By this, I would say every penny that you're saving right now would be really helpful out there. So do take a chance of this opportunity out there. And yes, of course, a big thank you to Colleen for joining us today and helping our students out there. And also thank you to students who have actively participated in this amazing session out there. And I believe that you've attended this session, which makes us believe that you are, you know, more interested and eager to start with the process and get into, a top university like Clarkson out there. So thank you so much for joining us today. And these are our contact details. And in case you would like to get in touch with us, feel free to reach out to us. We would be really glad. And Colleen, would you like to say a last few words to our students?
Just a vote of thanks for you all at Galvanize for inviting me and for so many students participating. And I really wish you all the best in your future study and career. If Clarkson can be part of that, nothing would make me happier. But even if we're not, I truly wish you all the best and every success.
Great. Thank you. Thank you so much, Colleen. And thank you, everyone.
Bye.